This father sees his daughter for the first time. He digs out her heart with his hand. After completing his transformation, he turns the heart into a gem and places it on his daughter's forehead. The girl seems to awaken some kind of power. The demon father turns and walks out of the house, preparing to devour the entire earth. The girl's mother also wants to join in, but is choked to death by the demon. The breath of death begins to spread. All living beings suffer greatly. Not a blade of grass grows. The entire world is in imminent danger. What will be the fate of humanity? The girl's name is Rachel. On this particular morning, she took the school bus to school. The school bully was attempting to lay hands on Rachel, but a young man noticed the situation. He bravely stepped forward to try to stop the conflict. However, the school bully was strong and struck the young man down with a punch and insulted Rachel. Rachel stared at the school bully and then turned away. The darkness within her is like a hidden beast, yearning to break free and return to the campus. Rachel wanted to express gratitude to the young man, but she found that he was indifferent. This was not the first time she had faced such treatment, simply because she was seen as an outcast, a famous oddity in everyone's eyes. Every nightfall, Rachel would plunge into dreams. She dreamed of 3 people performing in the air, with one failing to catch their companion, leading to their downfall. Whenever she awoke startled from these dreams, her mother would promptly come to comfort and encourage her. However, Rachel's door was covered with crosses, yet these crosses were also barely able to contain it. Due to Rachel's screams, neighbors were tormented by her cries. No one liked this girl. One day after school, Rachel returned home as usual. She found a stranger threatening her mother. The man claimed that Rachel's mother was not her biological mother, and that Rachel was not an ordinary girl. At her mother's plea, she urged Rachel to escape quickly, but before the words even settled, she came under attack.
There, now that's better.
Witnessing this scene, Rachel's anger and fear erupted. She unleashed the dark power within her to strike down the man. Subsequently, she fled from her home. Rachel arrived at the station, but she had no idea where to go. At that moment, the scrolling screen displayed the words Detroit. She then used all the money she had to buy a ticket to Detroit. Upon reaching her destination, she had no money left. Rachel found an adult shelter and sought refuge. Despite living in the shelter, Rachel still felt lonely. Before long, a woman approached Rachel, offering to take her to a youth shelter, and explained that she had similar experiences. However, when the two walked into a secluded alley, Rachel felt uneasy. Her dark side reminded her. In the dark alley, a villain was trailing behind her. A car flickered with dim light. Rachel dared not approach. Everything before her seemed to foreshadow a conspiracy. Rachel sensed the dangerous aura permeating the air, and felt scared. The woman appeared to be a villain. Her dark side warned her of imminent danger. Thus, Rachel turned and fled, the woman closely chasing behind. Rachel found a brick by the roadside. In that moment, Rachel devised a plan. This strike not only won her an opportunity to escape, but also isolated her from potential danger. Eventually, Rachel was taken to the police station. Faced with questioning, she chose to remain silent. It wasn't until Dick appeared in her line of sight, his presence like a lightning bolt, illuminating the dark corners of Rachel's heart. Dick was the boy from her dreams. Rachel confided her dreams to Dick, pleading for his help. Initially, Dick viewed it all as a prank, but his expression turned serious after Rachel described her dreams. It turned out that the mysterious man and woman were Dick's parents. Rachel's encounter with Dick seemed destined. He realized that someone might have orchestrated everything. Rachel, in an emotional state, revealed that her mother had been murdered, which strengthened Dick's resolve to investigate. After taking down Rachel's name and address, Dick promised to verify the situation. Before this, Rachel was supposed to stay at the police station, but plans changed. Not long after, a policeman came in claiming to take Rachel to a juvenile detention center. After verification, Dick discovered that Rachel was telling the truth, and the incident did occur. Prompted by her dark side, Rachel also realized that the man claiming to be a policeman was an imposter. She was powerless to resist the muscular man before her. As the injection was administered into her neck, the girl lost her ability to resist. When Dick arrived at the scene, he only saw the figures of 2 people leaving. Realizing the urgency of the situation, Dick acted swiftly. He tracked the police car, determined to uncover the conspiracy behind it. When Rachel opened her eyes, she found herself bound to a chair, and the perpetrator was the man who had taken her mother's life. At that moment, he faced her, claiming he wasn't evil, and that only when Rachel's life ended could peace come to all of humanity. As the man prepared to act, Dick appeared just in time to prevent the tragedy. In the original plan, the perpetrator wanted to hide behind the door and launch a surprise attack. However, Rachel, who was stimulated, awakened the dark side hidden inside her body. The man was controlled by the power of darkness. Rachel appeared in front of him in an instant. The darkness gradually seeped in and took over Rachel's body. It then transformed into a mass of black mist and entered the man's nostrils. When Dick pushed open the door, the man had already passed away, lying peacefully on the ground. Rachel, unaware of what had happened, her mysterious background adding to the enigma of the whole event. Dick realized that, faced with such a complex situation, he needed to take action. So, he temporarily placed Rachel in the home of a trusted friend, to seek a safe haven, while also searching for a way to unravel the mystery. Amidst a scene of heat and char, a dark-skinned woman with fiery red hair held a photo of Rachel. Determination filled her gaze as she did not linger, decisively turning away. All of this stemmed from an unknown conflict, shooting at a superpowered individual so easily. This is a foolish beginning. Instead of killing her, it activated the hidden power within the red-haired woman. In an instant, her eyes glowed green, flames spreading throughout her body like a tide. Even her hair glowed with fire as flames erupted from her hands, engulfing everything around, until the flames died down, returning everything to calm. The woman looked at her palm in shock, realizing the previous victim had been burnt to charcoal. More confusing was her complete lack of knowledge about her own identity. Waking up this morning, the driver beside her had already passed away. In her mind, there was only the memory of waking up, but the 3 bullet holes on the car door revealed the truth of the attack. Before she could even think, the roar of an engine came from afar. A speeding car rushed in, bullets firing from within. The young woman quickly took cover in the nearby woods, but the pursuers did not give up. A second group of people was dispatched. After escaping the chase, she found herself at a nearby public restroom, seeking temporary respite for her inner turmoil. She discovered an ID in her bag with her name printed on it, Xinghua. Through the information on the ID, she learned her true identity. She then found a hotel room keycard and made her way to the destination. Xinghua not only had striking hair, but was also a wealthy woman. Welcomed warmly by the lobby manager, Xinghua sought to subtly obtain the room number. The manager informed her that the top floor belonged entirely to her. Xinghua reached the top floor and found her phone displaying a photo of herself with a man. While contemplating, she noticed movement in a cabinet and opened it. To her surprise, she found a man tied up, who clearly knew her and insulted her. Xinghua lifted him, demanding to know the identity of the man on her phone screen. The man struggled free, leading to a fierce struggle between them. Despite her blurred memory, Xinghua's fighting skills became instinctual. She defeated the man, and after being beaten, he provided the identity and address of the man in the photo. He begged Xinghua to spare him, but she was not one to show mercy. She broke the man's neck, killing him. Later, Xinghua arrived at a nightclub, where the man who had been familiar in the photo attempted to attack her. It turned out that she had betrayed him for the woman, Rachel, in the photo. Xinghua resolved the crisis with her abilities, and set out on a journey to find herself, carrying Rachel's photo. To regain her memories, she first needed to find Rachel. Perhaps this journey of exploration would unravel the mysteries of her past. On Dick's side, although Rachel couldn't recall the specifics of the events, she felt uneasy. Dark forces grew restless and agitated after a long journey. Dick found his friend Dove, but faced indifference from Dove's boyfriend, Hawk. It turned out that Dick possessed mysterious powers, and his past identity was Robin. He was known for punishing irresponsible and abusive parents. More surprisingly, Dick and Hawk were not only romantic rivals, but also fought side by side. However, during that glorious period, Dick chose to leave the team and become a police officer. He quietly upheld justice. This time, Dick sought the help of Dove and Hawk. Filled with regret, Dick left behind some money as compensation. Unexpectedly, Rachel discovered the money, and was deeply hurt to learn that Dick might leave her. She went alone to the rooftop, and after the girl was missing, Dick and his friends rushed to the rooftop, but crisis loomed silently. A strange figure of a family of 4 suddenly appeared. A fierce kick knocked Hawk to the ground. Their behavior was unusual, and their martial skills were strong. The three of them joined forces, but were not opponents. This led to Dove and Hawk being restrained, one by a rope around the throat, the other was pushed off the rooftop. Rachel was also abducted by them. Meanwhile, Xinghua was in the car, calmly observing everything. The next morning, Xinghua tracked the assailants to a gas station. Without hesitation, she put the kidnapper of Rachel into the flames. Later, the amnesiac Xinghua, upon meeting Rachel, first asked about her identity, leaving Rachel bewildered. After all, before this, she was just an ordinary high school student. When the assassin's wife arrived at the scene, a body lay on the ground. Their target had escaped. Rachel was luckily rescued by Xinghua, preventing a tragedy. Shortly after, the police received a call from the gas station. Upon learning that Rachel was at the scene, Dick quickly rushed there. He used his position to access the gas station's surveillance footage. Indeed, he found Rachel in the footage, although he didn't know Xinghua, but it was at least a crucial clue. Later, Dick enlarged the surveillance footage and confirmed the license plate of the car driven by Xinghua, and with the help of Batman's tracking system, locked onto the vehicle's location. Meanwhile, Rachel was sitting in the passenger seat. She thought to herself that the redhead woman seemed unreliable. After all, she wasn't clear about her own identity. Rachel tried to use telepathy to understand Xinghua's information, but this infallible skill had no effect when facing Xinghua. So Rachel asked Xinghua who she really was. Xinghua handed her a photo in response. It was their only clue. In the photo was a baby Rachel, posing with her mother and a nun, with the address of the convent written on the back. So they immediately navigated to the location. Upon reaching the destination, the opening nun showed no surprise, seemingly familiar with Xinghua. But when she saw the grown-up Rachel, she appeared very surprised. It turned out that Xinghua had been here a year ago, searching for Rachel's whereabouts, and warning the girl of the current danger. She then quietly departed. It was the nun in front of them, who had delivered Rachel when she was born. According to the nun, Rachel's mother chose to give birth in the convent to protect her. However, when Rachel asked why she needed protection, the nun remained silent, as if afraid to mention something dreadful. At this moment, Xinghua took out a key from her bag, and asked the nun if she knew what the key was for. The nun knew it was a key to a nearby ice rink locker. Xinghua then took Rachel to the ice rink, and found the locker based on the key's number. Opening the locker, there was only an envelope inside, which contained another key to a warehouse. All of this seemed like a puzzle waiting to be solved. At the ice rink, Rachel met Gal with green hair while playing games, and they became friends. Meanwhile, Dick's appearance disrupted the peace. He identified the red-haired Xinghua, but Rachel's reaction was cold and resistant. She seemed to still be immersed in the pain of being handed over to a stranger. Dick felt helpless about this, stemming from his misunderstanding of Rachel. Initially, Dick thought the girl just encountered some minor troubles, and needed to hide temporarily. However, reality was far more complex than imagined. Rachel's hidden secrets gradually surfaced. The top priority now was to find a safe place. But for Rachel, she no longer trusted Dick. Rachel made up her mind to follow Xinghua on an unknown journey. Faced with Rachel's decision, Dick stood firm. He knew deep down that Rachel was a dangerous individual, a fierce fugitive. But Rachel's emotions instantly spiraled out of control. A roar shattered the windows around. She firmly stated that she wanted to return to the convent. Dick acted swiftly, despite being filled with shock, but he still brought the girl back to the convent. Inside the convent, Rachel's emotions still unsettled, Dick decided to find the nun to learn about Rachel's past. However, Xinghua took the opportunity to steal Dick's car, and found the warehouse that the key belonged to. In the warehouse, Xinghua found a wealth of information about Rachel. Dick also arrived here through the car's tracking information. During the investigation of the warehouse data, the two were shocked by a fact that, on Rachel's birthday each year, the global death toll would significantly increase, sometimes by as much as 200,000 more than usual. What was even more disturbing was that Xinghua's notes stated that Rachel was a harbinger of doom. Just as they were trying to make sense of all this, a sudden explosion shattered the calm. The warehouse shook violently, and they hurried outside. To their surprise, they discovered that the explosion had occurred at the convent. The situation was critical. Something major had clearly happened. While Dick was chasing Xinghua, the nun handed a cup of hot tea to Rachel. Unexpectedly, after drinking it, Rachel fell into a deep sleep. Upon waking up, she found herself lying on a stretcher, being taken by the nuns to the basement of the convent. The Mother Superior explained that their power was insufficient to protect her, so they placed her there in case of unforeseen events. Faced with the Mother Superior's intentions to detain her, Rachel felt panic. She tried to call out but received no response. Sensing her fear, the dark side surfaced once again, attempting to persuade Rachel to accept that with power, she could break free from captivity. However, Rachel firmly refused. She picked up a chair beside her and smashed the mirror. Nevertheless, the dark side continued to exert pressure, listing the loved ones and friends who were hurt because of her, trying to break through her defenses. Rachel's consciousness gradually blurred. Her abilities were slipping out of control. Glass shards from the walls floated around her with the dark side, continuously provoking her. Finally, she couldn't bear to let out a roar, blasting a hole through the convent. After regaining her senses, Rachel fled into the forest. When Dick and Xinghua returned, they only found a chaotic convent. The Mother Superior was severely injured, muttering too late. Meanwhile, Rachel encountered a green tiger in the forest. This big cat seemed to recognize her. It hid behind a tree and transformed into a human. With a series of joint movements, the tiger turned out to be the previous Gao. They then conversed in a cabin. As they both possessed supernatural abilities, they harbored no animosity towards each other. Instead, they found common ground. Suddenly, a gunshot interrupted their conversation. A deer was shot by a hunter. Rachel rushed to the scene to stop the hunter from harming the fawn, while Gao transformed into a fierce tiger and stood behind them. The hunter accidentally injured his companion in his panic. The two quickly fled the scene. Rachel comforted the fawn, but sadly, it was already dead. She felt deep sorrow. Afterward, Rachel left with Gao. What she didn't know was that the wound she touched on the fawn was rapidly healing. Miraculously, the fawn came back to life. Rachel followed Gao to a mansion, where many eccentric characters resided, including a robot with only a brain remaining, a chef wrapped in bandages, and a woman who could mutate into a tumor at any moment. Meanwhile, Dick arrived at the police station. Tracing Rachel's footsteps, the police reported that, in the early morning, someone witnessed a green tiger and a blue-haired girl in the forest. Upon hearing this news, Dick acted swiftly, driving towards the sighting location. Meanwhile, Rachel was indulging in food. However, as the woman across from her tasted the food, her body began to lose control, undergoing a transformation. Faced with sudden changes, the woman seemed embarrassed and afraid of startling Rachel, but kind-hearted Rachel comforted her instead. This reassured the woman. At that moment, the mansion's doors opened. Their leader returned, their savior, the one who gave them a new lease on life. He brought a new member, who had encountered misfortune. She was burned by exploding liquid nitrogen, her body frozen in low temperatures. To stabilize her temperature, the leader tried using a serum, but it had no effect, and the temperature around continued to drop. The woman's life was in danger. In that critical moment, Rachel stepped forward and took the woman's hand, channeling the dark power within her, calming her restless emotions, and gradually restoring her normal body. But Rachel's ability attracted the attention of the leader. He pretended to help Rachel control her powers, and tied her to the bed. In reality, the leader intended to dissect and study her. To protect Rachel, Gao launched an attack, but unfortunately, he was injected with a sedative by the leader, and instantly lost consciousness, falling to the ground. Witnessing Gao's injury reignited the darkness within Rachel. Dark energy spewed from Rachel's mouth, like a specter under the night sky, locking the leader in mid-air. Meanwhile, Dick and Xinghua arrived at the mansion. A strange figure suddenly appeared and attacked the two. Xinghua took on the defensive role, battling the enemy with her light. Dick, relying on his keen insight, dodged the attacks. Following the sounds, he made his way to the basement. By this time, Rachel had killed the leader, but her inner turmoil, due to the released energy, plunged her into a state of chaos. Dark power swirled around Rachel like a tornado. At this crucial moment, Dick disregarded his own safety and rushed forward without hesitation, attempting to awaken Rachel's rationality. Under his encouragement, the young girl gradually found herself, restoring calmness from frenzy. As the dark power dissipated, Gao also left the mansion with them. Shortly after, Dick followed the assassin's guidance to find the mastermind behind the scenes. However, when he stepped into the building, the organization had already set a trap. They were prepared to kill the old man. Fortunately, Dick, as the first Robin, was agile and managed to dodge the attack successfully. But later, due to fatigue, he became somewhat weak in resisting. At that moment, a puff of smoke cut through the air. Following it was a figure cloaked in battle robes. He was none other than the previous member of Dick's team, who took on the role of the second Robin. Timely rescue not only saved Dick, but also enabled them to capture the old man, and took him to the safe house built by Batman. Soon after, Xinghua and others received the message and arrived here. Despite their repeated questioning of the old man, he insisted that he would not speak unless he saw Rachel. Helpless, Dick had to let Rachel interrogate him. When the old man saw Rachel, hope sparked in his eyes. He confessed to serving Rachel's father, and emphasized that Rachel's arrival on Earth was not to destroy, but to heal the world. He was confident he could prove this. After speaking, Rachel was frightened, and desperately pressed on his wound, hoping to stop the blood loss. Incredibly, a miracle occurred. The old man's wound healed instantly. Rachel discovered she had healing powers. She stared at her palm in disbelief. Evidently, the old man had known her origins. Faced with this sudden turn of events, Dick and Xinghua immediately began negotiating with the old man. Yet they still couldn't get any information about Rachel's father from him. But they unexpectedly learned that Rachel's mother, Angela, was still alive. It turned out that Angela had been imprisoned in a mental hospital by the old man to prevent her reunion with Rachel. Dick informed Rachel of this news. Upon learning her mother was still alive, she decided to go and rescue her. Dick didn't allow her to act. He was worried it might be a trap. Their disagreement led to a heated argument. While Dick and Xinghua were studying the layout of the mental hospital and devising an action plan, Rachel had already set off with Gar to rescue. Unfortunately, as they arrived at the mental hospital's entrance, they were immediately subdued with electric shocks. Clearly, this was a trap set by the enemy. Dick quickly followed Xinghua, after realizing Rachel had disappeared. However, the enemy held Gar hostage, escalating the situation. Xinghua was ready to take action, but the nearby gas pipes posed a threat, as using flames could lead to unimaginable consequences, not only endangering Gar's life, but also risking an explosion that could harm everyone. In the end, Dick and Xinghua were captured. Meanwhile, Rachel woke up from the sofa to find the old man sitting across from her. Clearly, this was the enemy's scheme, not only to kidnap Rachel, but also to capture her 3 companions. Gar was imprisoned in an iron cage, continuously shocked to test his superpowers, while Dick was bound and injected with unknown substances. As for Xinghua, being a pyrokinetic superhero, who can absorb solar energy and wield the power of flames, she can freely manipulate energy. As long as the sun is up, her power seems limitless. However, she finds herself trapped in a dark cell, unable to absorb solar energy. Her energy is slowly dwindling. This unbeatable queen is eventually put on the operating table. The adversaries are intrigued by Xinghua's abilities, even planning to dissect and study her, to understand her unique powers better. On the other side, the old man continues to persuade Rachel, urging her to join their cause, promising to bring back Rachel's father. Not only that, the old man even uses Rachel's friends as leverage, threatening her. Since the death of her foster mother, Rachel has been in a dark place. Her friends are her bottom line, yet the old man dares to harm them. He deserves to die. Rachel deals with the old man, and through his computer, she locates her friends. She finds Gar, just as Rachel opens the iron cage. To release Gar, a group of armed researchers appears. To their surprise, Gar has transformed into a ferocious tiger, appearing behind them, overpowering and tearing them apart. This marks Gar's first kill. With Gar's inclusion, Rachel successfully locates her imprisoned mother, Angela. Angela is deemed insane at this point, suffering from prolonged confinement. Rachel visits her in the ward, but Angela doesn't believe her. Thinking she's a trickster seeking information, Rachel removes her jacket, revealing the raven tattoo symbolizing her identity. Angela instantly recognizes her daughter. After rescuing her mother, they also save Dick. Following this, they hurry to Xinghua's location. At this moment, the researchers dissecting Xinghua discover her regenerative abilities. As they prepare to experiment, by cutting off Xinghua's fingers, the group storms in. In just 3 punches, Dick subdues the researchers. Gar swiftly moves forward, removing the tube inserted into Xinghua's abdomen. Everyone escapes. As they flee, they encounter security personnel. Despite Dick's severe injuries, he effortlessly defeats the enemies. In the end, amidst the explosion, the asylum is destroyed. Xinghua Queen emerges from the rubble, having triggered the explosion. The next day, after breakfast, the group separates, with Xinghua and Gar having nowhere to go. Following Rachel back to Angela's old home, Dick locates his childhood friend, Donna, who is an apprentice of Wonder Woman, and possesses remarkable skills. During a conversation between 2 people, Donna accidentally caught a glimpse of a photo on Dick's phone. It was information collected by Xinhua before the memory loss. It's a derivative language of Sumerian, a language that disappeared for hundreds of years in the course of Earth's history. Meanwhile, Xinhua and his companions are on a train. Scattered memories begin to converge. Under the impact of the asylum, Xinghua's memory starts to awaken. When they arrive at Angela's old mansion, Rachel notices something unusual about Xinhua. She proposes to use her abilities to help Xinhua retrieve his lost memories. On the other end, Dick and Donna rush over. It turned out that Donna translates the text in the photo, revealing a crisis. Xinghua's mission is to verify Rachel's identity and ultimately eliminate her. Rachel is helping Xinhua recover his memories as countless memory fragments emerge. After a brief moment of confusion, a hint of green flashes in his eyes. She grabs Rachel's body. Rachel feels a burning heat and screams. Gal tries to intervene, but Xinhua enters a special state, losing herself. Just as Xinhua is about to act on Rachel, mysterious girl Donna joins. She throws out a spell, capturing Xinhua and subduing her. When Xinhua wakes up again, she doesn't remember what just happened. Angela asks her to leave. Xinhua expressed apologies. Memory fragments continue to surface in her mind, but she wants to explore a perplexing question: why her subconscious would want to harm the girl she likes? To investigate the motive behind harming Rachel, Xinhua, Dick, and Donna arrive at a warehouse in Xinghua's memory. They walk inside. After the pillar of light fades away, on the empty ground, slowly emerges a spaceship. The spaceship senses the return of its master. The hatch opens. A ladder slowly descends. Everyone entered the spaceship. At this moment, Xinghua's memories flood back like a tide. She comes from the planet Tamarin. The origin of all this is a prophecy book of the world's demise, mentioned in the book. Unless Rachel dies, otherwise the planet Tamarin will come to an end. Dick feels confused, because Rachel has a kind personality. He doesn't believe she would do such a thing. Xinhua explained that the real culprit isn't Rachel, but many years ago, an entity summoned from another dimension, the Triad Demon. This person once in a world caused destruction and was banished. During that time, he left behind a daughter, who was Rachel, the Raven on Earth. Rachel became an anchor for the Triad Demon on Earth. With just her summons, the Triad Demon can cross dimensions and once again destroy this world. However, Donna found in the book a more mysterious question. If this is indeed the Triad Demon's plan, then who is the third person in the book? Clearly, this person is Rachel's mother. The relationships between family members seem harmonious. There is no indication that they have differences, but as the truth surfaces, Angela is the mastermind behind the scenes. Everything she has done is to induce Rachel to summon her husband. Sure enough, in Angela's home, a crisis is unfolding. She quickly takes action. First against Gal. Gal fell into a hallucination after being poisoned. Even more shocking is, the scientist he killed actually appeared at the door. The situation is critical. As night falls, he finally can't resist the torment of illness. Angela asks Rachel to use her healing powers, hoping to save Gal's life. However, her powers didn't have the expected effect. Instead, they accelerated Gal's death. Meanwhile, Dick and others are returning to Angela's old mansion. Gal is about to die. Rachel is in turmoil. At this moment, Angela makes a suggestion to summon her father back, because her father's power surpasses hers. Shirley can save Gal. However, Rachel felt things are not simple. She feels uneasy. She can't watch Gal walk towards death. So, she stirs up the evil power hidden within her, using a mirror from an unknown dimension, summoned her father, the Triad Demon, into her world. The Triad Demon didn't disappoint her. Using his power, pulled Gal back from the brink of death. When she first saw her father, Rachel was very excited and hugged him. At this moment, Dick and the others also returned in time. The Triad Demon had just crossed dimensions. His power hadn't fully recovered. Therefore, he set up a barrier around the house. Sensing the approach of 3 people, he tore a hole in the barrier, let Dick in, while the others were blocked outside by the barrier. Angela wants the 3-Palace Demon to begin devouring the entire world. However, the 3-Palace Demon states he will wait until his daughter's heart shatters before making a move. After Dick enters the barrier, he is affected by the 3-Palace Demon's illusion, and his inner evil thoughts are magnified infinitely. Seeing Dick become a stranger, Rachel feels a deep pain in her heart. She tries to free Dick, but she cannot resist her father. Until then, Rachel finally understands. Her mother used her to achieve her goals. On the other side, Xingho is very anxious. She continuously tries to break the barrier, but with little effect. Baigu and others also join the fight. Since these people are all eager to meet their doom, the three-palace demon opens the barrier, letting them all fall into evil thoughts. Rachel watches her friends gradually lose their true nature. Her heart is filled with anger. The three-palace demon pulls out his daughter's heart. The beating heart instantly transforms into a shining red crystal, and the three-palace demon completely regains his power, transforming back into the true form of the demon Satan. Then, he inserts the ruby into his daughter's forehead. Rachel is revived. At this moment, she not only possesses magic power comparable to her father's, but also fully awakens the abilities of the raven. Next, the three-palace demon walks outside. He chokes Rachel's mother to death. In his eyes, humans are not worthy of standing beside him. After completing this series of actions, he begins to devour the earth. Wherever he passes, vegetation withers instantly, transforming into a desolate wasteland. Everyone is controlled by the three-palace demon. Fortunately, Gal is still alive. He transforms into a snake and comes to Rachel's side. He awakens her consciousness through words. After Rachel wakes up, she uses her power to awaken Dick and pushes through the crowd to walk outside. Rachel calls out to her father. Then she unleashes her dark powers. The three-palace demon attempts to intervene. However, at this moment, Rachel's magic power is on par with her father's. After the thunderous clash of energy, the three-palace demon is banished back to his world. As the conflict ends, everyone's consciousness returns to its rightful place. Dick tightly hugs Rachel. This brave girl has saved the world. The story of Titan's first season ends here. The story of Titan Season 1 also comes to an end. The series tells the story of Rachel, who was originally a misfit high school student, accidentally unleashed her dark powers, and things went downhill. After her foster mother was shot, she joined forces with superpowered individuals. Amidst turmoil, the story of exploring one's true identity. Throughout the series, filled with fantastic visual effects, exciting fight scenes that are truly astonishing. If you enjoy my channel, please consider subscribing.